Alright, so I know it's been a little bit of time since the last time I've uploaded anything, but this is Shaddoll's. I'm playing Shaddoll Invoked, and my opponent's playing some really fun Infernoids. This build was one I was testing for that weekend. I've already made a lot of changes to it. I didn't really like some of the a couple of different options. For one, I actually took out Appaloosa. I think in this version I had already taken it out, but the day before I was playing in another tournament, and it just never came up. So I changed it out for a Raijin because a lot of times I found myself in situations where I could have it. But anyways, this hand was very suboptimal. This is the best I could really do. I want to go ahead and get that beast out of the deck, so I set it with the Windy. I have a Winda up, and I have, I believe it's a Super Poly set, and yeah, he just evenly matches me for 2 cards. My 2 of Ash Blossom hitting that Void Imagination, or no, the Void spell that lets you fusion summon, and I can't have him getting that, so do that, and all of a sudden he goes, mind control, and I links it off into Gravity Controller, which I realize now he couldn't have mind controlled. He couldn't have gone into Gravity Controller after mind controlling it. He could have just gone ahead and straight up Gravity Controller the Winda, because Gravity Controller has to have the monster in the EMZ, cannot be in the main monster zone. That right there is a Spanish Omega, something that we've been having a hard time finding, and a buddy of ours finally brought it in for us. But anyways, yeah, he Void Imagination, Void Feast with a Lair of Darkness. My turn comes around, he Void Feasts, and I'm sitting here like, well, yeah, I can't really do anything, because I only had 3 cards and I was only going to get 1 spell, and he was just going to be able to negate that. And he also had the Void Feast, so anything I summoned, he could just tribute it. So yeah. Anyways, game 2, I decided to go first, or go second, and because I figured anything he could put up, I could push through if I have enough resources, which usually you do. Just I had such a poor opening in game 1 that it just was not happening. So in this game, he opens up Void Feast again. Surprise, surprise. But he puts up the double Decatron, and I can never remember the other names. Decatron, Deviati, and Anonku are really the only ones I ever remember. I can honestly never remember the others. But anyways, right here, he's trying to figure out if he wants a double spell, double monster, or spell and monster, because he's trying to figure out what would really be best against me. And so he ends up going 1-1. Anyways, I try to bait out a monster negate by normal summoning the Alistair, and just in case he had like a droll for me on that, because if I activated the meltdown, it would have been 1 less fusion. I would have had two Alistairs in hand, so not really the best of options. So I go ahead and go this route just to play a little bit safer. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to work through this in the most efficient way without kind of just blowing through my hand, because I have all the resources I could potentially need for this. So at this point, I'm like, okay, well, let's do the meltdown, because why not go ahead and protect all of my fusions. Another Alistair is not it's whatever. So here I'm just thinking, okay, there's got to be a way that I can do this without being wasteful on my resources, because if I don't push through on this turn, then usually Infernoids have a pretty easy time of coming back and being kind of annoying. So I go ahead and activate the Shaddoll Fusion, and I go into a Winda, sending a Hedgehog and a Skamata, and so then I go ahead and activate their effects. Chain Link. I'm sorry, it was not a Hedgehog, it was a Falco, and that's whenever I send the Hedgehog was off of the Skamata. And right here, I'm just trying to bait out more and more stuff, because I have more options in hand. So I go ahead and get out my Windy, and I'm thinking, okay, I think what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to make an app clone and negate it. And since he can't he cannot negate the activation of my fusions, I should be golden on that aspect. Yeah, I just figured I'll just go ahead and bait out some stuff, but he super polys me for the Alistair and the Winda, and makes his Dragos Tapelia. Anyways, I activate a Winda effect to add back the Shaddoll fusion, which I was kind of surprised. I figured he would negate it, but he did not. I don't really know why. And here I'm thinking, okay, how am I gonna do this? And that is actually a misplay. You cannot fusion with monsters on the field with Invocation. I did not realize that whenever I was first playing it. I don't remember what all was hand. I'd have to look again, but I used the app clone on the Lair of Darkness to negate it, so he can't tribute my stuff, and because Meltdown's up, he can't respond to it. And I believe I also chain blocked it just in case. What was it in my hand? It was an Alistair, and I cannot see the other card. I keep shuffling too fast. I've already sped up the video. So anyways, here he's trying to figure out what he's gonna do, and he goes battle phase and attacks over app clone, and I'm like, okay, I'll take the little bit of damage. And then he realizes it cannot be destroyed by battle. At that point, he's like, okay, well, I need to at least get rid of the beast. So he attacks the beast, activate beast effect, and we're trying to see what, and he does end up negating it. And so it's at that point he realizes he messed up because I have the Shaddoll fusion in hand, and I was going to be able to just OTK him through everything. So he just goes ahead and skips it up, and we go into game 3. Again, starting off in a kind of a subpar hand. I send a beast and a Squamata to summon out a Winda, and then what's coming up right here is some people are asking a judge a ruling question, and they wanted my advice on it to see if I can't even remember what it was about. But anyways, I go ahead and resolve my invocation to summon out the Winda, use Squad to send a Windy and Beast to draw one, and then Windy effect, I'm going to summon out a... At that point, whenever I saw the draw come down, like, well, I guess I'm going to be playing a little bit safer, so let's go ahead and set a Hedgehog, I believe, is what I ended up doing. Let's see. Because I figured Hedgehog, yeah, the Hedgehog, because I figured worst case scenario, he attacks it, and I actually do get a fusion spell, but even if he just pops it somehow, I'm still going to get at least a monster, so I can follow up on something. Alright, so he doesn't have the evenly matched to make me lose two cards permanently, so, but he does start with the Decatron, and he sends the one that it's the Infernoid that can target one face-up card your opponent controls and return it. I don't remember if it's a card or monster, but he ends up sending that to bounce the Winda back. And here I'm just reading to make sure it's only face-ups. And then that's whenever he actually starts asking questions, like maybe I should have bounced that. I'm like, well, you can't because card text. And so then kind of keep going through all this. He summons out the one that pops. He's trying to figure out what he wants to do. Does he want to attack it, give me the fusion spell, or does he want to go ahead and pop it and let me get the monster? He just couldn't figure out, so he just went ahead and attacked it, and then let me get my... he pops it, that is right. He pops it, so I get my Squaw. And so during in phase, I flip the Shaddoll Incarnation to set the beast, so I can draw some more, because that is fair. Here I'm just double checking, like seeing what all they do, because Infernoids, I'm not well versed against them. I just gotta always remember that they do tribute during opponent's turn to DD Crow, and that's why I leave the trap in the graveyard for the majority of this, because I want to use it to I might as well, if I have a monster that's sent, I might as well banish the monster and the trap to go ahead and flip something. Just as like in the back of my mind, I'm thinking maybe if they do something like that. So anyways, I decided not to send the Trick Clown. I want to go ahead and normal summon it, and I go ahead and use its effect to special summon it back out. After going into a cross sheep, I go into a invocation. Right here, I actually do make a little bit of a misplay. I think part of it was I was thinking a little bit farther ahead, thinking about getting a Falco on board, or not a Falco, but an Aerial on board to flip it up and special summon out the Windy back. I could have actually banished the Droll and Lockbird. I probably should have, just to keep the Windy in the graveyard, just in case. You never really know. But anyways, we keep going, and I use the cross sheep to special summon out a Hedgehog again, and we're going through all these plays. Go ahead and get the Alistair back, because sometimes I will forget that, and I am trying to remember these things. And I'm kind of surprised he didn't go ahead and like DD Crow the invocation just to get it out of there at this point. But anyways, I go ahead and go into battle phase and attack over. There's the DD Crow on the invocation. So I'll go ahead and do a little bit of damage here and there, and I'm just double checking on a few things, and I'm thinking about in battle phase, which I go ahead and do the super poly, and here I'm just thinking, well, what is really the best to add to hand, and what's best to really send. And at that point I was like, wait a second, I'm playing Infernoid, I'm dumb. I can just send Aerial and banish his targets in the graveyard. That way it's just less fuel that he can use for later. And I go ahead and add the Falco. That way I can special summon back the Aerial. I'm still going to add the Falco. That way I can set the Falco during my next turn, and then use the trap to banish some other Shaddoll, flip the Falco, special summon out the Aerial from the graveyard, and then sets me up for either banishing more stuff or summoning back out the Windy from the banish zone. But anyways, he goes ahead and normal summons Decatron. I Raijin flip it face down, and then at that point he kind of goes, well, yeah, I don't actually have anything else to follow up. So I believe he had a Super Poly, but there's no Super Poly targets on the field at that point. But yeah, that's the match, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks everybody for watching. I know that there was a couple of misplays here and there. It happens. That's what happens with live duels. You're going to have misplays, and that's how you learn. Hopefully everybody can take a couple of pointers off of this and think, oh yeah, don't do that, or yeah, that's actually an interesting way to think about that. So like I said, thanks everybody for watching, and I hope you guys have a good day. Peace.